Take one.
All right, this is John Hansen with the Florida Physique Report, and our special guest today, all the way from Australia, is Kahla who just competed this last weekend at the Tampa Pro Show. How you doing?
Fantastic, John. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to meet you. So you were in town all week, right? You were in town training for the contest?
Right. Yeah. So this is my first pro show. So hadn't travelled overseas for a show before. So
you never have?
Never have.
Wow.
So I got my pro card in 2010.
Okay.
Originally, I got my pro card looking at doing physique.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year there wasn't physique in the pro league, so I took that year off.
Mm-hmm.
And then we looked at 2012 and I had a look at physique competitors and I thought that's not the look that I want to achieve.
Okay.
So I've gone, no, I want to do bodybuilding. So I'm a small structure and I took that a couple of years off to put on some size.
Mm-hmm.
Started working with Milos Sarcev August last year.
Oh yeah.
And then he said, look, let's pick a show. And we heard that Tampa was one of the best shows to compete in.
Yeah.
And one of the larger shows. So I said, for my first pro show, I want to be up against the best. I want to know where I am in the world.
So this was your first pro show?
My first pro show.
Wow, that's great.
So
now, when you got your pro card, was that in physique then or bodybuilding?
it was, well, they didn't have.
They didn't have physique?
No,
Okay.
it wasn't in the pro league yet, so it was still bodybuilding. But
Okay.
when Tony Doherty nominated me for my pro card, and then Jim Mannion accepted that, we looked at the physique, and we just went, that's sort of where I was fitting because I'm not a large person.
Right.
I've never been the largest bodybuilder on stage.
Right.
So then we picked the Tampa. I went over and trained with Milos for a month in Serbia.
Okay.
And
Is that where he's at now? He's in Serbia?
He's in Belgrade, Serbia. And so we picked the show, and because I've never competed overseas before, we didn't know how my body would respond to the climate, fluid retention. We said, let's stay here a week. I came on my own, so I needed to work out where everything was on my own.
Yeah.
So I was very, very nervous and very scared.
Yeah, I bet. That takes a lot of guts.
The goal for me this year was to get on stage, because I'd lost a bit of confidence in myself. So it was to get on stage and see, am I competitive in this division?
When was your last show?
2010.
Wow, so that's 4
So
years.
it's 4 years.
That's a lifetime for bodybuilders, right?
Yeah, so, and for those various reasons, and then Milos is very much back-to-back competitions. He's competed in 110 shows.
Yeah,
got
I know.
bigger and
I
better
remember.
with every show. So he's like, and he's not only a great coach, he's a great mentor, and he's a very, very good friend. He was with me the whole way, very, very confident.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I was very, very nervous. I mean, I've been following these girls for years. And at the competitors conference on the Thursday night, and I said to Milos, these girls are like 10, 15 kilos on top of me. I was petrified.
Yeah.
And he's like, just believe in yourself.
Right.
So, smile and be confident.
Yeah.
And you've worked hard to be on that stage, so just enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, and then, when I got my first call out, we all saw that I missed the first quarter turn.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I've trained so hard for this moment, and within the first 5 seconds, I've ruined it.
What do you mean, you turned the wrong way?
So I didn't hear the call.
Oh, you didn't hear it, okay.
So they called the first quarter, and I turned, and then they called the second quarter, and I didn't hear it.
Oh, okay.
And then they called the third quarter, and then Bob Ciccarella was coming over to go turn, and then I've turned and gone, oh my gosh, and missing that particular
right away you
back
think,
relax.
I blew it.
And with my back being my dominant body part, I've like, that could have sealed it for me, and I missed it, and so I walked off just going, that 5 seconds has just gone. So when I got my first call out, I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is not even happening.
Right.
So,
because how many girls were there? Like 36 or something, or no, or not as many?
I think there was about 25.
Okay. I was thinking of the
figure
figure. I think at
girls
36.
yesterday
Yeah.
were 36. I think.
In women's physique, I think too. Yeah.
So,
But still, every class was big.
It's the biggest lineup I've ever been in.
Right.
And I mean, You know, like I've seen these girls in the Olympia stage. I've got every Olympia DVD back to 2002.
Wow, so you're a big fan.
Yeah. I started bodybuilding. Well, I started training with my brother when I was about 16, and then I'd always weight trained. And then I met a boyfriend in Townsville, and he said, "Why don't you compete one day?" And I just went, I just love my training at like competing. So 2003 was my first show.
Okay.
And he said, "Look, we'll just diet for a show. We'll see how you look, and then, you know, if you don't want to get on stage, you don't have to." So I won my first show, and then I went won the North Queensland in Australia, and then I went on to the Nationals, and I won my division at the the States.
Okay.
And then they said, "Look, you've qualified for the Nationals," and I said, "Look, I've gone as far as I think I can.
Yeah.
I never want to look silly on stage, so I'm going to back it off and train for a couple more years." So then went back in 2006 and won the States, the Nationals, and got second at the Worlds. And then 2009 and 2010 won both the Nationals. And then Tony Doherty recommended me for my pro card. So in Australia with bodybuilding, there's not a pro show, or there's not a pro qualifier.
Pro qualifier, yeah.
So you have to be nominated by Tony and accepted by Jim Mannion.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a different process over there.
What part of Australia are you from?
Queensland.
Queensland.
Brisbane.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I've never been there, so I want to go one day.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful country.
You know, your approach to competing, it almost reminds me of Dorian Yates a little bit. I don't know if you heard the story about him, but he did, I think, the England championships. And he should have won. I guess he won the heavyweight and he lost I think, the light heavyweight by 1 vote. It was like a 4-3 vote, and like the crowd was booing and everything. And he was so mad about that he didn't even compete the next year. He took 2 years to train, and then when he came back, of course, he was another 10, 15 pounds heavier, and he just blew everybody away, you know.
That's very much my mentality to competing is each time you compete, you want to have that wow factor.
Yeah.
So when you walk on stage, it's like, where on earth has this person come from?
Yeah.
And to me, if it takes 2 years to get to that wow factor, that to me is more than competing consecutively. So it's either you train, but working with Milos, I believe that we can create that wow factor each time. I mean, he's done that himself. So working with him, I'd always worked with a coach. I worked with John Davey for about 6 years.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, and he's fantastic. But I wanted to know what people were doing over here. If I'm going to compete over here, I want to understand what's happening over here. And then I looked at Milos's training style, which is a lot of giant sets and compounds and time under tension. Right. Because I'm not a strong bodybuilder either. So for me, I need to train with a lot of volume to get a lot more blood and size into my muscle cell. And Milos was to say he wasn't a very strong bodybuilder. So
or not even one of the biggest.
That's right. Yeah. So he's very much a double training session person as well.
So he does 2 sessions in a day?
In a day.
Okay.
So,
same body part or different body part?
Well, for me, it depends on what your weaknesses are. So for me, the last 25 weeks, I've been doing legs morning and evening. And then I'll do... Tuesday morning will be biceps, Tuesday night triceps, Wednesday morning chest, Wednesday night back, shoulders, Thursday morning back, Thursday night quads, Friday morning hamstring, Friday night arms, Saturday shoulders again. So he's very big advocate on double training sessions, and depending on your weaknesses would depend on how many times a week you train that body part. And it got to about 6 weeks out, and he said to me, "We may reduce your volume with your training. We'll just see how you're looking." And every week he says, "You still look fresh," like you said. But I was so hungry. I'm like, if this man can do it, then he's telling me I can do it as well. So I have to do it. So I guess I was so hungry to see, put everything into it.
Yeah, hungry. You mean desire?
Desire.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you train like that, then Like, so let's say you do legs in the morning and legs at night. Would you go heavy in the morning and then come lighter at night, or how do you do that?
He does both. So basically what you do is he'll do 3 to 4 compound movements, and that can be, you know, heavy squatting for your first exercise, drop setting with hack squats in your second, high rep leg press,
training hard.
Yeah. And then you do giant sets, so that's backing off the weight and just doing 5 to 6 exercises back to back, no break. And so it's both heavy and light, morning and night.
Wow.
It's really intense.
How do you feel when you do that second workout then?
Oh, it's gruesome.
Yeah. Because I know when I do legs, I can hardly walk out here and I don't want to do anything until the next day.
When I trained with Milos in Serbia, and it was a Sunday, and I remember, and he put me through a workout, and before the workout he says to me, "Now I just want you to survive this workout." So of course I put everything into it,
right.
And I'm like, I survived, thank goodness. And then he dropped me back to my hotel, and he says, "Okay, do you want the good news or the bad news?" And because we were actually going to go on a tour that afternoon, but there was a marathon, so the roads were closed.
Okay.
He goes, "So the good news is, well, do you want to train again this afternoon?" I said, "Yeah, well, may as well." And he said, "Well, we're going to do that same workout again that we did this morning."
Oh, shit.
And my legs were swollen, and I'm like, so he'd pick me up at 9 o'clock to train, and then he'd pick me up at 5 o'clock to train. So you'd be home by 10:30, 11, eat, sleep, and then he'd come and pick you up. And I'm just like, and I said, "You're kidding." And he goes, "Well, it's up to you." He said, "You can, we don't have to do legs, but this is how they make him grow. You train them in the morning, you train them at night." And he's a big believer in that.
So what's his philosophy on that? Why does he believe in that?
I believe it's so that once the muscle fibers are broken down, and then before you hit DOM, so while they're broken down, at night you can break them down even further, and they're not completely healed. So you can sort of get that breakage even further than you can in the morning. And you also get a double nutrient supply immediately after. So
that's what I was going to say next. The nutrition's got to be super important when you're doing that.
He is so particular with his nutrition, and I believe 100%. If you don't eat exactly as he says at exactly the right times, you will not recover.
No, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's not he doesn't believe in overtraining, because if you have your right nutrients at the right times, and it works.
Yeah.
I didn't ever feel. I felt tired because you're calorie depleted, but I never felt overtrained. And that double session is 2 opportunities for nutrients to be supplied into your muscle cell for growth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's.
So you're training each muscle group twice a week, and then you're training twice a day.
That's right.
Right.
Yep. So legs.
And some body parts are getting 2 workouts in one day.
Yeah. Yep. So for me, my chest and my back were my dominant body parts, so we train them once a week.
Okay.
Arms, shoulders were twice a week, and legs, it turned out to be about 4. So you do quads and hammies Monday, and then quads on Thursday night and hammies on Friday morning. So
was that your weakest body part, your legs?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah,
absolutely. And they're still very lucky. Fortunately, we nailed the conditioning, which gave us the illusion that they look bigger.
Yeah.
But they're definitely my weakest body part. So we will continue working on them to make them grow.
Yeah. So now, how long did you diet? Because your conditioning, like you said, that was your real strong point, and that's what got you into the top 5 in your first pro show.
Well, working with Milos, we sort of, I haven't had a cheat meal since, I had a cheat meal, I had dessert with him when I was there in April this year.
Yeah.
But I hadn't had a cheat meal since January last year. So he's a huge advocate on clean eating.
Wow.
So since August last year, and it's pretty much an year anniversary since I've been working with him, is I've been pretty much dieting with him, as in putting on size and getting leaner. So if every 2 weeks I would send my update photos to him, and each 2 weeks we look at getting leaner and bigger at the same time. So I mean, I guess the calories reduce significantly at about 10 weeks out.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they reduce a lot again about 6 weeks later.
Okay.
So, and what he also did, instead of reducing the amount of calories each week, he shuffled the calories around body part training. So for legs, I would get more calories as opposed to chest and back because they were much stronger. So what he did, it wasn't as though, because in my previous diets and coaches, it's been each week increase cardio, decrease calories, and the calories would be the same every day. So with Milos, it's, you know, we will manipulate the calories around your training and the body part to give those weaker body parts more calories to work with.
Yeah, I would imagine if you're doing legs twice in one day, you'd need a lot of calories, Yeah. So you're obviously eating carbs too then, right? I mean, a lot of carbs, for the recovery,
Yeah, absolutely.
But just clean food.
Yes, a lot of clean food.
Okay.
And I'm very fortunate I have no emotional attachment for food. So dieting is not a problem for me except being hungry. I struggle with being hungry. Right. But I have no cravings. And I guess the work ethic is, you know, you put so much into this that I can't justify eating something bad when it's just not worth it.
I know. It'll like ruin everything.
So
now, how about your body weight? Did it go up a lot in the off season?
No, well, my heaviest was 72 kilos.
Okay.
And it was interesting because when he dropped my calories at about 10 weeks out, I was dropping a kilo every week. So it actually got down to 65 kilo. And then after that, it increased. So it got back up to 67 and a half. Okay. And it stayed at that. It stayed at that until I left Australia. So, I mean, that's not a bad drop from off-season to I don't know what I weighed on the day. I wouldn't know. Yeah. But I believe I grew into the show, and I believe that the volume of training helped me do that. Getting all that blood and getting the double supply of nutrients, I believe that kept me full and kept me in size.
That's a very interesting approach, you know, because a lot of people think you train hard, then you take the rest, and this is like the almost more. You're doing more, eating more, training more. Yeah.
So my training volume was my largest coming into the show out of the 12 months I was working with him. So that was really interesting as well. And people are like, you know, how do you do this? So I think people need to switch their mentality to, I don't have this food, I can't train hard. Because my strength didn't drop a lot either. And I think because the way I look at it is, if I've got 10 weeks to a show, I've only got 10 more weeks to grow. It's not, you know, go in there and go, I've got no food, I feel, you know, terrible, I'm hungry. It's
like a marathon.
You don't even think about, you just think about you've got to grow this body part to, you know, in this short period of time. So I think that helps.
It's almost like an opportunity to grow more.
Absolutely. Absolutely,
So tell us about your trip over here. This was your first trip to the United States, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
how long of a flight is that from Australia?
It's 25 hours. So going to Serbia was great to just see, because that was about 23 from Australia. Okay. So when I got to Serbia, I had terrible fluid retention. And I was telling a friend of mine, Sandra, who I've met here, that my legs were swollen, and the day I landed in Serbia was 6 a.m. Milos met me at lunchtime and said, we're going to train at 5 o'clock and we're doing legs. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Before your
flight.
Like,
my legs are swollen. And he's like, you know, that's not my problem sort of thing. You know, we're doing it.
Right.
So that was a great learning experience to go, okay, this is how my body is reacting to a flight, because I've never flown that far before. Right. So I flew from, I left Saturday morning on the 2nd, and I flew from Brisbane to LA, and then LA to Dallas, and then Dallas to here. And I just wore compression stockings and no fluid retention whatsoever. So the flight was fine. There was no problems with that.
So it wasn't as bad as you thought then, as far as the fluid retention?
And I think because there was so much training beforehand, I was so tired that I slept a lot of the day.
Did you? That helps out a lot.
But I mean, this is where again Milos was perfect as well, where he had my diet for the plane. You know, he had, and he goes to the nth degree. He gave me Australia time, and they gave me the Florida time.
Oh,
so
okay.
if I was in, you know, in the airport and I wasn't sure what the conversion of time,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
even articulates to that level.
Wow,
Because he's
okay.
like, I know, you know, flying could be difficult. I had no problems with getting my food in. I could bring it all the way, so that was a concern for me. Would they take my food off me?
Yeah.
But no, that it was easy.
What is the time difference between Florida and Australia?
14. So
14 hours?
We're 14 hours ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did he work that out then? Did he didn't just make you eat like you were in Australia, you had to change over to here, right?
So what we did, I just ate every 3 hours, and it was just protein.
Okay.
So I ate steak, chicken, turkey, and then my morning meal is usually almonds and steak. So then one of my, when it was morning here, he swapped that meal to an almond and steak meal. So then I could start my normal day with that being the morning, and then I landed here at 8:30 Saturday night. So then it was good to be. I just went straight to the supermarket and bought some groceries, and then was able to sleep. And he had me training double sessions again straight away on the Sunday.
How was the driving around here? Because I know you guys drive on the other side of the road, right?
Well, I'm terrible driving anyway. So
Right.
I was staying at the Grand Hyatt,
Right.
and so I was getting taxis to and from here, and because
Okay.
it was the double training session, so I rang my mum and said, "This is costing me a fortune. I'm
Yeah.
going to have to hire a car." And I said, "I'm depleted and I don't know how to drive, and the GPS wasn't working, so I'm
God.
driving and it was so difficult because I find myself turning into the other side of the lane, and then I was
Right.
facing cars, and then
Oh,
on the
wow.
highway trying to get off onto the other way,
Yeah.
and it took me a good day.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when I got home, I felt nauseous because I was so
Yeah.
scared. I just thought the last thing I want is to have an accident
Right.
when I've
Oh,
come
I
this
know.
far.
Can you imagine?
And then
Unbelievable.
my mum just said, "Oh, Kahla, what about the other people on the road?" And I'm like, "Mum, what about me?" So
Wow.
it took me a day or two to.
Yeah.
But once I got the route here, and you know, it's an easy way in
Yeah.
and out, and I can understand, you know, how it is on the other side of the way.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah, I moved here 4 years ago, and I was getting lost for first month, so I can
Oh,
imagine
yeah,
coming
it
from
was-
another country, and had to go crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Plus you got the contest stress and all
Yeah,
that, you know?
it was challenging. It was challenging.
How did you find out about Powerhouse downtown? Tim Gardner?
Tim Gardner.
Okay.
So when I emailed him, he's been wonderful.
Yeah, he's a great promoter.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I had no idea of where everything was or what to do.
Right.
So I sent him a lot of emails pre the show.
Yeah.
So he told me there was a bodybuilder's diet at Grand Hyatt. The Grand Hyatt were phenomenal. The staff were amazing.
Yeah.
He led me to the gym, and then you know I just got a cab. The people here at the Powerhouse have been fantastic to
Yeah.
me. So I couldn't have asked for anything. It's pretty much been pretty stress free.
Yeah,
Any
that's great.
question, people are more than willing to help you. I've met a lovely friend here, Sandra, that's you know brought me clothes, brought me food, and got me a scrub and got everything organised
yeah.
for me. So that was wonderful.
So when you come back next time, you're all set.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how long are you in town for now?
I go home tomorrow morning.
Oh, tomorrow morning. Okay, great.
Yeah, so back to work.
So what's the plan as far as competitions now?
Yeah, so I've spoken to Milos, and I think we know that I need to get my name out there.
Yeah.
And we need to prove that it wasn't just a fluke. You know, this is. So we need to have a look at what contest is first.
Okay.
So we want to do the first show next year. And then it's just seeing where that is. The struggle for us being over there is when the shows are so far apart, when they're a month apart from each other, it's difficult to do back-to-back shows.
Yeah.
Both financially with work. I would always like to come into a show a week before to just reset. The week before a show, I need time on my own, and I need just to have everything right. So if I flew in any later than Saturday, I think it would have been a mess.
Right.
You've got to, I have to have a look at what shows there are and hopefully do the first one. However, if there are that are that are any that are like 2 weeks apart,
Yeah.
we'll probably go for those ones so we can do consecutive shows to get, because I always come in better condition in my second show.
Oh,
so
yeah.
In Australia, we all do.
Yeah.
So we didn't get a practice deplete or load. So we really Milos knows his stuff, so he nailed it. He did a fantastic job. But now he knows what works for me, and then being able to do that consecutively.
Right.
And I need to get my name out there. So we need to have a look at the contest schedule when it comes out in December.
Okay.
And look for what shows are out there and what are the closest together.
Yeah.
And go for that.
How about the Arnold in Australia next
They
year?
don't have female bodybuilding.
Oh, they don't have bodybuilding. Oh,
No.
okay.
So
Wow.
you might want to talk to Tony about that.
Yeah, that would have been a great opportunity.
It is, yeah. So
Yeah.
that is difficult for us in Australia, is that there is no show there to compete in.
Yeah.
But we're hoping this. I mean, I was having a discussion with Sandra last night. We said, you know, a lot of people are saying female bodybuilding is dying, and with it being dropped out of a number of shows, I think what we had this show, how we had so many competitors, I think that's a sign that, you know, if we're having this many competitors at one show, we need to have more shows.
Right.
And my goal has always been to show female bodybuilding that it can be feminine, it can be, you know, presented classically.
Right.
You don't have to be masculine. So I like to look at female bodybuilding as, you know, an inspiration to women, not something that people go, oh my God, it's a freak show.
Yeah.
And there are women that, you know, do like that look. But I'm hoping that we can change people's perception on it and bring more, you know, people back into the sport.
Yeah.
But I think having so many people at this show, competitors, shows that female bodybuilding is still definitely alive, and
Right.
we need to have more shows.
Right. Right. So has it sunk in now, the fourth place from?
No,
Yeah.
It's. I mean, my family didn't come, and because I said to them, my mother would love to. They all would have loved to have been here, and I said, Mum, I'm not going to place. I'm there to see, do I fit on this stage? Like,
Right.
let's really have a look, because I didn't know, and it was like, I honestly thought, is my career over? That I'm just not in this league, and that was the decider for me coming over here, saying I need to see what it's all about.
Right, just where you stand.
Yeah. So we were all, you know, gobsmacked really.
Yeah.
So I don't think.
What a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, and then when I get, I mean, now I'm even hungrier. I have more desire to be better. You know, to go.
Oh
okay,
yeah.
This wasn't. We didn't just fluke this. You know. This is real, but we're going to come back bigger and better.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. I think it was a great pro debut, and it was great meeting you here. You know,
Lovely to meet
I've seen you training all week out here at the Powerhouse in downtown Tampa, so that's great to finally meet you. And then when I saw you yesterday, I go, wow, that's the girl from the gym. First call out. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it was amazing. I have to mention Kenny Wallish. He helped me. I made contact with him a week when I was in Australia in my last week. I'd heard an interview that he did on Geared Up with his posing. Posing is not one of my confidence, and it's something that I need to work on. So I emailed him and said, listen, like, you know, and I've been working with a choreographer in Australia since 2006, but I'm like, she's in Australia, what is it like over there? You know, this person has fresh set of eyes, he can look at me differently and just tweak things. He's been amazing. He worked with me a week before when I was in Australia. He did a Skype session with me here on Tuesday. He came to my room.
Where does he live?
Oh, Kenny, I'm not sure.
Somewhere in the States?
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
Yeah, he does.
I think he worked with the women's physique winner.
Yes, he did.
And that was all on Skype too.
Yes, he
That's
did.
awesome.
Yeah, he is amazing. And I've always had someone at the show with me just to go, hit hammies or do something, that one person.
Yeah.
So that was a concern of mine as well. And I said to Kenny, would you mind coming to the show and just saying, look, do this and that. And he was fantastic. He was just phenomenal.
So he came to the show?
He did.
Oh,
he
okay.
did. Yeah, he was yelling and
wow, that's awesome.
It was amazing. Considering I knew him for 1 week.
Yeah.
And he came to my room and checked on me. He helped me with my routine. He tweaked everything.
Wow.
So that to me, like he helped me get that placing. So I can't not thank him.
Had to mention him. Yeah. Wow. Well, I hope we see you back here in Tampa, and it was great meeting you, and
Lovely to meet
congratulations
you.
again on your placing, and
Thank you.
we look forward to seeing your career. I think you're going to have a good career.
Thank you.
I love your work ethic. I love how hard you train. I didn't know any of that, so that's great to find all that out.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
All right, this is John Hansen with this week's edition of the Florida Physique Report from the Powerhouse Gym in downtown Tampa, and we'll see you next week. All right.